Hello folks, hope you're doing well. My name is Marc Gallagher. I am a professional musician here in England, and today we're going to be doing something of like a review, taking a look at the Flight Aviator Baritone ukulele. This is the newest ukulele from Flight, and I've spent a few days with it now, and after giving my initial thoughts and having gotten a lot of attention on the unboxing video I did for this, I want to give my full thoughts on this uke now that I've spent some time with it and I've played with it and got to know it a little better. How did this come about? Well, it came from Southern Ukulele Store. They put out a video that announced the newest ukulele from Flight in the Aviator. I commented, "Oh, that looks interesting." And because I'm a Flight artist, they got in contact with me and said, "We can sort something out." And they have sent this ukulele to me. There's no contract here, but there was kind of the understanding that I was going to make some content with it and spend a bit of time with this ukulele. As a disclaimer, this uke has been loaned to me, not given to me. So whenever Flight asks for it back, I'm going to send it, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not being paid to do this video. Flight aren't going to see this before you do. And that's really important to me because, yes, I do have a relationship with Flight, but also transparency is really important to me. And there are a couple of good faith, constructive criticisms that I do have, and hopefully that won't land me in some hot water with Flight. We'll see. Firstly, let's address the elephant in the room, the design. Yes, this looks like something you've probably seen before, and with the off-center sound hole, with the slim body, with the cutaway here, yes, this looks like a Kala Revelator and Kala Night Owl. It is doing that thing, and I don't think it is a stretch for me to say that this is taking influence from that. And some people will use more aggressive language like a copy of or a knockoff of, and I'm not going to say that. But the influence, I think, is quite clear. And it's aiming to do the Kala Night Owl thing, which is to be a more affordable revelator. So we can take a look at these criticisms, which I completely understand, but also I've got a couple of points which I would like to respond to those criticisms. And the first one is looking at my job. For a living, I play covers in pubs, bars, and private functions. I make my living playing other people's music. That's partly down to demand. More people want to hear songs that they're familiar with instead of my own, and that's fine. I'm happy to do that. But also, it's not about playing other people's music, but it's about what I do with other people's music, to take their compositions, for me to arrange it and perform it in the way that I do is what matters, and that's why people book me. It's not that I am taking someone else's song, it is my take on someone else's song. And similarly, I don't think this is Flight taking the Revelator and Night Owl, but more so it is Flight's take on the Revelator and Night Owl. And I think that's the important distinction. You can also look at other examples like in the ukulele world, such as someone invented the pineapple body design of a ukulele, and over time, people have adopted using those designs and, taking influence and doing their take on the pineapple ukulele thing. And I don't think that caused nearly as much of an outrage. My second point to respond to the criticism is that this happens in the guitar world all the time. Take the Fender Stratocaster guitar. It's the most iconic body design in the history of guitar. And everyone from companies like G&L, Ernie Ball, Sir, PRS, to more like budget brands like East Coast or Flight sister company Jet Guitars, they have their own Strat alikes. They have their own takes on the Strats that do the Strat thing. And that's fine, and we kind of accept that. We've taken an iconic body design and we have started to apply our own take to it, and that's absolutely fine. So maybe is the current outrage due to the fact that the Revelator is in its relative infancy? Is that the reason why people are angry about it now, or disappointed, or riled up? Is it because the Revelator's a new thing and not yet made its way to full iconic body design status yet? Hard to say. Before you guys ask me how this compares to a Kala Night Owl, which I know you will ask, I've never played one, I don't know. So I'm just going to be basing the ukulele off its own merit here. And for those who are angry, your mind is probably made up, and that's also fine. If the principle of the Flight Aviator existing annoys you so much, you can always not buy it. But I like that this is an option to those who want to get something slightly more affordable than the Revelator, something in the night owl kind of thing. So next thing we're going to do is a more straightforward review thing by running through the specs. So the top wood is mango. It's got a gloss finish, and honestly, the shine of this ukulele is one of my favorite things about it. Just how glowy it is with this gloss. So solid mango top. That's nice because I've got mango on back and sides of my Flight Comet ukulele. It's nice to have mango as a top wood. It's got a nice richness to the tone, similar in quality to like acacia or koa. You've got a kume on the back and sides. In my unboxing video, I said it was mango. I was wrong. I told a lie. I'm naughty. Slap on the wrist. Speaking of a kume, we've got the neck as well, which is also a kume. It's bolted on, which some people are going to scoff at because it's cheaper to make and to do than a set neck. But I don't care. I play Fender guitars, and majority of those are bolt-on necks. I really don't mind. You've got the ebony fingerboard, which we love to see. What I personally don't love as much to see is the position dot markers, in which they are like on the side and not centered. They are in a nice blue color, but I don't like its position like slightly towards one end of the fingerboard. You also have white side dots, which is what I mainly see and look at, and that's absolutely fine. The headstock is black. Initially, I thought it was like an ebony faceplate. It's not. It's just a really nice ebony looking kind of finish to it with the Flight logo embossed at the top. You also have these very nice looking gold tuners, which so far in the time that I've spent with it, they feel pretty good. The uke's got a strap button on the base, but honestly, because of the thin design, I don't mind holding it in my arms without a strap. I found that quite handy, actually. But for sake of this, I'm going to use a strap because that's how I prefer to play ukulele, generally speaking. I think the bridge is rosewood, but I'm not quite sure. The nut and the saddle are both made of bone, which is nice, but my favorite part about this is the compensation that you've got on the saddle. And my favorite part about this ukulele is the intonation. It is very, very good. Here is what we have. Like, that is very, very good for a ukulele of this price point. For me, intonation is something that's really, really important on an instrument, especially ones that are slightly more affordable. I want to be able to play up the neck. Speaking of playing up the neck, the cutaway. This cutaway feels fantastic, considering my other main baritone joins to the body at the 12th fret and doesn't have a cutaway. Like, it's really refreshing having this upper fret access to up to the 19th fret, and it feels so easy and effortless for me. It's really refreshing. That being said, as a baritone ukulele, it's not too necessary for me to have this upper fret access, but if the intonation is this good on a tenor ukulele, I would be absolutely thrilled, you know? Like, having all that range and it still being really well intonated, that's something that's really important to me. In terms of the setup, I'm broadly happy with it. Some people might want the action lowered a little on the saddle, but for me, this feels good and fine. And again, what I'm most excited about is just how well intonated this ukulele is for its price. Scale length, nut to saddle, is 510 millimeters. I don't know what that is in inches. I will flash that up now. In terms of the strings, we've got the Aquila B blacks for the B and E, and then we've got some unspecified wound strings for the D and G. And now onto my criticisms, and these are good faith criticisms. Flight, please don't shoot me. So, upon launch, when pictures of the uke were first circulating, there were some people who were expressing concern about this middle part of the sound hole. It's a strip of the top mango wood, and it looks lovely. However, people were concerned about the structural integrity of it. In the video that Alex put out on Southern Ukulele Store, he addressed this and said that this is reinforced by another little bit of wood underneath. It's about 3 millimeters thick, and I agree that reinforcement is good and it is definitely there. However, I don't know if it is quite sufficient because currently the middle bit does give way a little when I press it, especially compared to the other parts of the body. And the most obvious thing you can do is just be disciplined and, not press it. But I liken it to having a wobbly tooth. Obviously, don't wobble your wobbly tooth, but also it's very tempting. So I do worry that this could become a liability, and maybe in future runs of this ukulele, Flight could possibly look at a different sound hole design, because I like this, but it either needs more reinforcement or maybe just not have this and have a different shape to the sound hole, maybe. And unfortunately, my next criticism is a big one, because this ukulele, whether you buy it in tenor or baritone, it does not come with a pickup. And that's a problem, because with this design, it's basically impossible to retrofit a pickup in. Ordinarily, when you're installing a pickup in a ukulele that has a sound hole in the middle, it's easy enough to get your hand in and to reach and do some fiddly bits around getting a pickup in. But because the sound hole's right here and it's got this delicate bit here, it's thin, it's basically impossible to get your hand in. You might have to use highly specialized tools to reach in. So that's a difficult thing, because I'm a professional musician. I want to go and gig with this ukulele, but right now I can't because it doesn't have a pickup. I can take it to a few open mics and mic it up and we'll see how we get on. But yeah, it's annoying that currently this doesn't come with a pickup. That being said, I fully understand that this is just the first run of a new ukulele from Flight in the Aviator. So I imagine that going forward, there will be future runs where they will have a pickup. And unfortunately, because this is a slim uke, you basically have to factor the pickup in while you're building it and kind of build around the pickup, I imagine. But yeah, I can imagine Flight will put their own system in and they'll do a follow-up model called something like the Aviator EQA, like they've done with other models of ukulele that they've put out before. And now we go on to the fun bit of the review in terms of how it sounds. And honestly, when I first started playing this, I was very impressed with just how much punch it has. I think that punch is down to the design of it in this sort of slimline thing. It's just got so much bark for a baritone. It's something that I find really impressive about this. So I'm going to do some more playing just to give you some more sound samples, some more vague idea of what this ukulele is like. Just as a nod to Barry Maz there, but... In terms of feel, it goes without saying that this thinner ukulele is really light to play and hold, and I really like that, and it's one of the reasons why I don't mind not playing this with a strap and, just using my hands because it's light enough, and I don't get that often with baritone ukulele. It's got so much punch, so much bark for a baritone. I think that's the main takeaway in terms of the sound of this. It's so punchy. It's so high in attack and sizzle, and that's, yes, going to be partially informed by the strings, but also just the design. One thing I will say is that it's less warm and it's a bit thinner as a baritone. However, I don't mean that pejoratively, and I'll give the reason why. I've said before, the baritone ukuleles in general don't really suit like hard strumming like you would of a tenor or smaller scales, and here's why. The bigger body just makes it sound a bit too boomy for my taste. Whereas if you take the thinner body of this ukulele, it's kind of fits a bit more. It sounds like this. It really suits having slightly more aggressive strumming in ways that I haven't found baritones to do so before. And that is really, really good. I'm really excited about the possibilities of that on this ukulele and being able to play it in a different way than the gentler kind of picking that I normally would do on a baritone. So to wrap up, who is this ukulele for? The Aviator, I would say it's a great thing to have if you are expanding and going into the intermediate sort of level with your ukulele playing. It gives you flight's flavor, flight take on a new, very popular body design. And honestly, this sounds and feels stunning. The cutaway is wonderful if you are an intermediate advanced player who is starting to explore higher position chords and melody playing. The sound has a really good projection to it. The baritone model especially favors a club player who is maybe a confident strummer, but they want to get to the baritone thing. I think this is a good stepping stone as your first baritone ukulele because I feel like you can broadly play it in the same way as you would play your concert or your tenor, and you'd still get the same kind of energy out of it that you put in without a boominess. And I think that's really helpful. If you wanted to go into more traditional baritone ukulele playing and styles, which is a bit gentler, a bit of a softer touch, then you can advance that later on. But as a first baritone, I think this is really good. For the price, which Flight have listed at €359, you've got an all-solid, well-made ukulele that, in my case, it's been set up. It's got a compensated saddle, which means that the intonation on this is really good. It's not going to be perfect because I don't have any like official means to measure this to the cent, but just eyeballing it, I want to say, but the listening equivalent of eyeballing it, absolutely, that is bob on to me, or very, very close to. It looks nice, it feels nice, it sounds nice, and I'm really pleased with Flight and what they have done with this body design and where they've taken it, and it's a really good little feather in the cap for those who are curious. And like I said, the baritone model is going to be something of a game changer for those who are struggling to get to grips with the baritone thing. My main critiques are the placement of the side dots, in which they're not central, the sound hole design, which looks nice, but I worry about its stability long term, and most pressingly, that it doesn't have a pickup. That is the biggest thing that is setting it apart and holding it back from me saying, oh, if you're a professional musician, get it. Because right now, I can't gig with this ukulele because I don't really mic up my ukuleles in a pub environment. I'll take it to the odd open mic and we'll see how we get on, and you might get some videos in future of that. I'm very grateful to Flight for having loaned me this ukulele. I hope that I've still been able to show transparency despite the circumstances around this video. And I hope you still enjoyed it. And thank you very much for watching at this point. And I'm grateful. My name is Marc Gallagher. You can follow me on your social media of choice at Marc Gallagher Music. And you can get more of my opinions on ukulele and guitar and other gear as I start to expand my musical content creation-y horizons thing. So thank you very much for watching. I'm Marc Gallagher. Like the video if you want, share if you feel compelled to, and follow me on places. I'll catch you down the road.